So what happens when India's biggest airline, IndiGo, has a complete operational meltdown? Well, we just saw it. Thousands of passengers were basically abandoned at airports all over the country. We're going to break down exactly what went wrong, how a few delays snowballed into a total crisis, and most importantly, what needs to change so.
This right here, this quote from a passenger who was stranded, it just says it all, and it gets to a really crucial point. This wasn't just about flights being late. For thousands of people, this was about being left completely in the dark, feeling totally helpless. That's the real human cost we're talking about today.
All right, so how does a normal travel day just completely descend into nationwide chaos? Let's start at the beginning and look at what actually unfolded on the ground as this whole meltdown kicked off.
I mean, the scenes were just wild. We're talking flights delayed for hours on end, and then many just canceled at the last possible second. The terminal started overflowing with people. You saw the pictures, right? Passengers literally forced to camp out on the airport floors with absolutely zero clue when or even if they were going to get to their destination.
And this slide really gets to the heart of the problem. You see this massive disconnect. The official line from the airline was super vague, just crew unavailability and operational challenges. Now, crew unavailability is often just code for much deeper issues, like a scheduling system that's stretched to its breaking point. But for the passengers on the ground, those words meant nothing. They were living in a total information vacuum, experiencing sheer chaos.
And then, to make a truly awful situation even worse, other airlines immediately swooped in to take advantage. With thousands of people desperate to find any way to get home, competing airlines jacked up their fares by 3, 4, even 5 times the normal price. So this wasn't just an operational failure anymore. It became a moment of pure exploitation.
But, the operational problems were really only half the story. The thing that really fueled the anger, what turned a frustrating delay into genuine despair, was the complete and total failure of communication.
And this table just lays it out so clearly. What did passengers need? Honest, clear updates. What did they get? The same automated text message saying delayed by 30 minutes. Over and over and over again for hours. They needed staff who could actually help them, but they found ground crews who were just as overwhelmed and clueless as they were. No one was proactively offering food or water or help with rebooking. Nothing.
And here's the real takeaway from all that. Things go wrong in the airline industry. We all get that. Delays happen. But the absolute rage that came out of this situation, that was fueled by something more. It was the feeling of being disrespected, of being ignored. When your systems fail this badly, you completely shatter the trust between you and your customers.
Okay, so it's pretty easy to see how everything fell apart. But what could have been done differently, right in the thick of it? Let's just walk through some basic, common-sense first aid that could have made a world of difference and maybe restored a little bit of faith.
It's not rocket science, really. It just comes down to these 5 things. First, be honest. One real update is worth a dozen vague texts. Second, an airline this big needs to have backup crews ready to go. You need buffers in your system. Third, basic care on the ground, food, water, help, that's not optional. Fourth, don't wait for people to ask. Proactively offer refunds or start rebooking them. And finally, get out in public and take accountability. A single press conference could have calmed so much of the panic.
Right, so crisis first aid is one thing. But what this disaster really exposed were some deep systemic problems in how the airline operates. The kind of cracks that appear when a company's growth just outpaces its ability to manage everything. To really stop this from happening again, we have to look past the quick fixes and talk about building a stronger, more resilient system for the long haul.
And that's the big question, isn't it? How do we build an aviation system that can handle these shocks and actually puts passengers first? Well, there's no single magic answer. It's got to be a combination of smarter technology, better regulations, and honestly, a fundamental change in how airlines think.
First off, let's tackle that whole crew unavailability excuse head-on. We have the technology today, AI-driven systems that can actually predict staffing shortages, track crew hours in real time, and manage schedules way more effectively. This is all about stopping the problem before it even starts. Next up, taking care of passengers can't be a spur-of-the-moment decision. Airlines need a mandatory crisis protocol. Think of it like a playbook that automatically kicks in when things go wrong, and it clearly lays out the steps for communication, for accommodation, and for compensation. No more making it up as you go along.
And we absolutely have to talk about the price gouging. There should be government-regulated caps on how high fares can spike during these kinds of emergencies. Passengers are at their most vulnerable in these situations. They need to be protected from predatory pricing. Period.
Look,
Ultimately, these things need to become the industry's standard, not just something an airline does out of goodwill. We're talking automatic refunds for cancellations, guaranteed meal vouchers for long delays, proactively rebooking you on other airlines if they have to, maybe even a centralized system so regulators and passengers can see a live dashboard of delays across the whole industry.
So, after digging into the breakdown and all the potential fixes, we have to bring it all back to one simple, powerful idea. It's time to actually put passengers first and rethink what this whole system is for. And this is really the bottom line. All the logistics, the schedules, the planes, all of it exists for one reason, and one reason only: to connect people. It's about getting someone to a wedding, to a business meeting, to a family vacation, or to a loved one's side when it matters most.